Deeply Awake, Jets 2017. Wow, I just reviewed the first public channeling I ever did. It's about neurologic changes with this. I've been in deep review. I'm very glad for it. But there's been another change. And I want to say that I finally figured out that it may be until the winter solstice that I keep doing transmissions. Probably, not as frequent at times when the energy's not as intense. But yeah, I mean, if it turns out that the solstice is as it feels as if it will be, well then, there you go. That's the final chapter, right? That's the idea. Why go through all this? If it's going to be constant turmoil, why do it? Well, it hasn't been. It hasn't been. And I'm beginning to see the utter blessings of it all. But I can feel it. There's a tone through it all. And it's that harm. It even ran, I said something just not very nice about men. I love men. And I said, well, there's some things you gotta just really be okay with as a woman. And everyone's gonna tell you that you're nuts when you figure these things out. But, do some women's studies and you see, oh no, this isn't a very good situation. And people who don't agree with that, they just haven't been educated. They're not sensitive to it. And then I went on to some precepts, and then I went on in sort of a, I don't have any integrated men in my life. Who have it all the way. I have more women in my life who are integrated, I have to say. People who are there on purpose, and and the men who are with them are totally on purpose too, and so who am I to say that shit? Who am I to say that? And I mentioned about my family, like the 3 people in my life who I just want their approval. I just want, nobody else in this whole wide world has to give me a break, but I really would like a break from those guys. And there's my dad. Yesterday, helping me put up paintings and stabilize my bookcases. Move furniture. And he's saying, I'm just so happy to be able to help you feel more comfortable in your home. And it's like that whole narrative of harm and of difficulties and blah, blah, blah. I was brought to zero with that kindness. I get to see from time to time how disarming that kind of kindness is. To be the receiver of it. Just like, whoa. And it's got nothing to do with what words you pick or what you do. No, it has everything to do with where you're at. Because where you're at sings. And so I just really kind of have realized that, yeah, I had some what you could call setbacks, and they were just like perfect manifestations. And yet, to the untrained eye, it would be, the sky's falling and everything's changing. Yeah, everything's changing. Yes, Virginia, everything's changing. Here's another one. Okay, here's another one. Okay, here's another one. Now, here's a nice thing. That is also proof that everything is changing. So, yeah, everything's changing. Whee! So that's kind of where I'm at, and the message now is I've really got to take this seriously with hydrating, looking ahead. This is about continuity now. This is about going forward, and I'm very aware of the kind of energy that that first channeling. I don't really care how energy runs, and I'm thinking, oh girl, you have no idea what you're going to be trained in. It's going to blow your mind. And it's going to really matter to you. Energetics will matter a lot. And I listened to myself from a week ago and think, oh girl, you didn't understand something so core. It's a good thing you understand now. And that's sort of the humbling experience of this whole thing. And something that can, when you brought it to zero and realize, oh wow, you had something completely wrong. You're making completely wrong assumptions. I don't know. It's a good experience. Humility is a very rich experience. And it's a beautiful one. So now we're here. And it's very important for me to have things to look forward to. And there were times when everything was falling through, and also times when the things that used to really, really light me up, and I just needed to go forward, and I needed to, no matter how uncomfortable or scary I wanted to do it, I was going to do it, and I did it. And then even that got kind of turned down, and internally, and it was like, I know all this is going to come back, but I'm not really sure where I'll be pulled to when everything is rearranged. And I know that it's helpful to talk about because it is unusual, but because my life sort of rings with it, and I demonstrate it. May as well talk about it. So we're going to have a very lovely day, actually, and I'm really looking forward to what I have planned. But here's the thing, and this is, I think, why I bring up the Neurologic thing too. Here's the thing. Now I know that if these couple of things I'm really looking forward to, I'm just like, a little girl thinking about these events that are going to happen today. Well, if they don't follow through, then or come to pass, there's tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. And it's no longer time to grieve when something falls through. That's sort of what this is about at this point. And it may continue to be that way. I've talked about just feeling as if since the eclipse, set in February, things are easily erased. Things are easily thought of as being complete when they haven't even been touched. And so there's little anomalies like that. And it's just okay to let all that ride. And so I rankle at the judgments I've made and where my consciousness was even then, even thinking myself clean, seeing the judgments, seeing the proclamations of future understandings of consciousness, or like understandings I've made that change my future stance. That's not so bad, and that's why it's very helpful to go back too, because you make an oath. It's kind of important to remember it and live it. That's kind of what this has been about. But I really liked listening today about the neurologic changes, and they say soul side, but they meant the corpus cavernosum, is that what that is? In between the two hemispheres? And they kept saying this, and I remember them talking about this is not a healing of it. It was never broken. It was supposed to be that way. But consider your brain one energetic unit now, rather than two separately functioning processors. That there's gold light that's been weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving, solidifying and creating a bridge of sorts for easy communication and access between the two hemispheres, well, that changes everything. That changes everything. That's like going from 7 chakras to 8, and then on to 12. And so I like that they were talking about that, and I like that I'm a nurse and have done neuro, and it's like, okay, well, this is right up my alley. And I really just like, this is what I wound up being. So, and now I know my elevator speech finally. Got that one figured out. Because sometimes I'd make the little foray into it, and I'd say, yeah, well, I'm a writer. Someone asked me what I do. And then they'd say, oh, so what do you write? If they're interested. It's always so sweet. Sometimes they don't ask. And I'll say, well, I basically write essays about consciousness. And the response I get is, what were we talking about? So yeah, it doesn't work out so good. So I'm just gonna, if anybody asks what I do, I'll say I'm a writer. Oh really, what do you write? I'll say, well, I'm kind of a shaman. I'm sort of got this magical life, so I talk about my life. I'd tell stories about the Great Mother and stuff like that. So that's what I do. Been doing it for a while. It's quite sparkly. I like that better, don't you? I just like the idea of not of this harm concept of it. There's no harm inside either. I'm not out to get myself. And I don't know if I mentioned, I've done so many tapes, but I said in one of these tapes just recently something that was sort of a throwaway comment, and I think it was really important. So I wanted to just kind of highlight it. I said something like, ultimately, or don't get me wrong, when you get to the pole shift, it's ultimately destructive when you get to the pole shift. That's where paranoia is. That's where I was. And then boo boo. I don't know what tape that was on, but that has come through again and again and again. And so I see, and always have, this argument I have with the lower agreement field is not very fair in a way. And I'm not really taking pot shots at anybody. I'm just pointing things out. And I know that can seem really, really raw. And it can seem really judgmental. But it's said in all love and grace, because I've been living through it. And it's so painful and so unnecessary. And it doesn't involve like giving my power away to some entity wrapped in, I don't know, desert garb, who, I don't know, makes sense, but requires me to abdicate any sense of hope, of finding peace within my own counsel. It's like, it's a torment, and it's just not necessary. And so if I can have a hand in breaking that apart, well, by Jove, I'm going to do it. Because I think for a long time that we have sort of kept each other down, kept ourselves down. And what I learned yesterday afternoon is, I can keep any narrative I want alive for as long as I want. I can be angry and suspicious and resentful the rest of my life. And it will feel more and more misguided and silly and sad and pathetic. How long am I going to believe in harm? And I think that extends to me feeling concern or guilt over having an opinion. Have I really harmed anybody by holding an opinion that's strong, that maybe everybody else disagrees with, or a great deal of people would disagree with, or which goes misunderstood because it's expressed poorly or whatever? So I think it's a really good time to just consider a life without harm. Cran used to say, and other people have said too, a lot of spiritual teachers, go into meditation and imagine that everything is complete, that you have relief from what troubles you, that you feel whole, the things that carve you out and gut you have resolution. Allow yourself the pleasure. Allow yourself that hidden, forbidden area of completion. Understanding it is really not anything that may happen on the physical. It doesn't matter. How does it feel? Be in it. Dwell in it. If you can sit in it, it's yours. Do you really even need to live it out? You're capable of feeling it now. It can set up a deep hunger and a horrific sense of disappointment in the daily life. It's really hard when you're having to scrape together money for the basics, and it's always a paper chase, month after month and year after year, to hold a mentality of prosperity and abundance without feeling a bit like a delusional and like somebody who's kind of being crazy and mean to themselves. And part of it is finding peace and acceptance of your situation as it is. And no matter where you're at, accepting yourself. And I think sometimes affirmations are really, really good ways to stay stuck and to stay in disbelief and a sense of like, I don't know, there's this feeling of just like, of like an almost outrage, but not quite yet. Am I being tricked here? I think this is good for me. But it's attaching to the lack still with affirmations, even as great as they can be. If they have to do with ownership or appearances or situations or even living situations, even relationships, it really, affirmations in the end come down to I am. What do you affirm as your I am? It's good to have more than one. I am that I am that I am. That's a good one to have. But there are others. I am strong. I'm clever. I'm vibrantly alive. I am on purpose. I am at peace. I mean, those are pretty strong. And you can live those out any way you want. I am wise. I am truthful. You can't say I am integrity. You have to describe integrity. And those are really good affirmations. And I think those have the same kind of effect as this neurologic stuff. It's an integration. It's a unity. I don't have, but I want. I'm noticing I'm lacking, but I'm going to trick myself into thinking I have it already. But feeling that ache of not having something that I've got to keep repeating that I've got. Or going right to it. Feeling it. Knowing that the longing is the setup for the path, the journey of discovery of many things, but mostly of self, of your I ams. And then from there, and there you go, then you can have a garden of delight. Not everybody's there. Okay, fine. That's fine. Was I? I don't have many integrated males in my life. How integrated were you, sister? Not very. That's what I think. So blah blah. Keep blah blahing, lady. So I just want you to know how much self-effacement there is and how much self-awareness there is. And it's like, I will call myself on my bullshit. I don't want that stuff in my life. I'm just, you're not good enough. Mini, mini, mini. This is what you're doing wrong. Mini, 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 mini. I am not pleased. I do not like. I do not like. I do not like. Like Patton Oswalt's routine of, I hate. I love Patton Oswalt. I hate. So, it is about lightening. It is about, just ding dong, the witch is dead. Which old witch? The one you keep resurrecting every day. Oh, it's a very terrible world full of harm and sadness and disappointments and setbacks. No, actually, things usually work out just like you want them to. You notice that? And just because you get bumped around a lot, maybe that means you're not being honest with what you really want. Ooh. Ooh. That's a toughie. So I'm going to keep on being this. My daddy came in, help me, daddy. So things are looking better. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more capable, hopeful. And that comes with improvement in the physical. I get that. I get it. So it's exciting to see more improvement every day, and a desire for each of us to improve just because it feels good. And there was really, I think about that. Was there anything really to improve? No, we're not on an improvement kick. We are on an enjoyment kick. We are on a sometimes a deal with it kick, with us having to deal with it. But usually those are self-inflicted deal with it. So it's all good. And because the light quotient has changed, it truly has. It's just things are really different. I wanted to come to you because I think a lot of people are talking about DNA activation and light fields and a lot of stuff that I've been banging the drum about, and I'm really glad to see that. It's like the whole clan is going, hey, wait a minute here. So I'm really glad I did the work I did ahead of time. I'm glad it's recorded, and that's one thing I kind of felt like, gotta get this done. Yeah. It's all going to be like, it's a mass download, but here I am going whack. There's a few people ahead of me who felled a lot of foliage to make my journey easy, and I'm doing the same. And we just keep whacking and whacking. Pretty soon it's going to be like this lovely meadow. Because we're just that way. All right, that's all I have to say. Have an awesome day. Thank you for being here. Namaste.